buy tickets for a tour of the stadium. My first time at an NFL stadium.
Champion tour of Lambeau Field. Come on, huddle up. Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon, Bob.
Thanks, Stephen. Thank you. Is anybody else here?
Bob, hello.
My name is Bob. That's Stephen. Say hi to Stephen for me. We're going to be your tour guides for the next 80 to 85 minutes. Put it away. Thank you. We're going to talk a little bit about this area here. We're going to head upstairs to the 6th level. We're going to sit in a private suite up there. That's the highest level on this side of the stadium. Going to talk a little bit about some of the things that have been going on here the last few years. And then we will go out of that room and go into the newest renovation inside the stadium that was completed just this last year. The south end zone. We'll take an elevator up to the highest point upon which one may stand in Brown County. That's made by man, that is. Underneath the scoreboard. Okay? Then we will make our way down to a couple of premium seating areas, do a little discussion of what's going on in there, what that's all about, maybe do a little history lesson, and then I'll bring you right back down here. You can go down to Pro Shop or up to Curly's. How's that sound? Does that sound all right? Good. Now this is about an 85-minute tour, so all of that should take about 60 minutes. So we could do something else, couldn't we? How about we get in an elevator, we go all the way to the lowest level of the stadium, and we walk out through the tunnel the Packers used to go to the field. Yeah. You want to do that? You sure? Yeah. We can vote on that later on, okay? All right. Well, we should have you back here in about 80 to 85 minutes. Now, we do have some rules on this tour. Please, no eating, no drinking, no use of any tobacco products, guys. All right? Okay. I ask you to put that away because we like to have the cell phones turned on the non-ringing mode. We appreciate it if you're not having incoming, outgoing phone calls while we're doing this, just basically as a courtesy to the other folks on the tour also. If you want Stephen or I to help you with any of the pictures at any time along the tour, we can certainly help you do that. We both passed the J.C. Penney photography course. Stephen had a C-, I had a D+, but we did pass it, okay? Now, I found out where most of you are from. We have California, we have Texas, we have Wisconsin. What did I miss? Florida. Florida. How about you folks back here? Where are you from? Michigan, upper or lower? Lower. And California, too. You guys ought to have a party afterwards here. Get it all together. Yeah. Okay. Any questions at all on the tour, please feel free to ask us. We'll try to answer them for you. Anybody have any questions right now? Who's been to a game here? Who's been to a game here before the year 2000? You know where you're standing right now. What was this then?
The parking lot?
That's right. It was a parking lot. Good guess. Good guess. Now the thing about that is we had a stadium over here that's been built, was built in 1957. It's been sold out on a season ticket basis since 1960. The longest stretch of any NFL team. The first stadium built strictly for NFL football. The oldest continuously used stadium in the NFL. But that's all we had. And that was a problem. Because you see, if we want to get a scoreboard, I can't go up to the owner of this team and say, Jerry, I need $13 million bucks. Give me for a scoreboard. That doesn't happen here. We don't have an owner or a small group of owners. We have over 364,000 people who own stock in the Green Bay Packers. Now, we all think we own the team, but none of us has any money to do anything about it. Well, you have a stadium over here that's only open 10 days a year. You're not generating revenue to stay competitive. This is the result of some out-of-the-box thinking by a guy by the name of Bob Harlan. He was our CEO and president from 1989 to 2007. He's the guy who would sit in his office and he'd stand there and he'd see people coming from all over the country, coming up here to get pictures of the stadium, of Lambeau Field, and getting back in their cars and going somewhere else to do something. People would come up to him on the street and they'd say, Bob, I'd like my kids to get married out at Lambeau Field. Can we make it happen? He'd say, no. So we don't have anything there. Came up with an idea. He says, people want to come here. They want to do something other than watch football. Let's make it happen. So a $295 million renovation that took 32 months to complete resulted in this here. Now, before this was done, there were 31 teams in the National Football League, and the Packers were 27th in revenue. After this was completed, there were 32 teams in the NFL. We were 7th in revenue. We haven't been below 12th since this was completed, and most of that is because of folks like you coming in here and spending money and helping us stay competitive. Thank you all very much, by the way, for that. Give yourself a round of applause for that. Okay. Now, let's sit right on over here for just a second. We've been doing tours from here since 2003. We've had over 1.25 million people come through here on tours from almost 130 countries that we know of. And we have people on tour all of the time from all 49 states. Yeah, and Minnesota too. Okay? If you wanted, you and 1,400 of your closest friends could have dinner right here. That's what this is all about. It's for large groups to have things happening to them, or with them. But also, it's a place where if you work for the Green Bay Packers, this is probably where you come to work. Up on the 4th level there, that's where Mark Murphy, our CEO and president, and his administrative staff are. The 3rd level is all coaching staff. The 2nd level is Curry's restaurant, and the 1st level used to be the pro shop. One of the most successful individual stadium retail sales shops in the country. But at 8,000 square feet, it wasn't big enough. So the last renovation that we had moved it down below here, increased the size to 21,000 square feet. Have you been down there yet? Anybody been down there?
Yes, sir.
Did you take advantage of the special they have there today? Well, the special is there's no limit on what you can spend. Next spring, if you come back, the restaurant's going to be down here. Now, we had a Hall of Fame, the very first Hall of Fame for an NFL team, and it was situated down below here. That was closed down in the last renovation for the pro shop to go there. But it will be back here next spring, and it will go over here. And it'll take up 2 levels on this side. Neat place to come and visit if you get a chance. Any questions at all?
Where's the Hall of Fame right now? Is there one?
There is no Hall of Fame, but some of the exhibits are at the Neville Museum, which is in downtown Green Bay. Some of the stuff is over there, but not all of it.
We want
Okay?
the money back.
All right, okay, go around, desk back there. I'm sure they'll be glad to give it to you. Any questions? All right, we're going to take elevator upstairs. While we walk over to the elevators, though, I'd like you all to take a glance at the floor. There's a little design on this floor, and I'll ask you something about it when we get upstairs, all right? Let's head on up.
See yard lines.
Yeah, like 20, 30.
Oh, it's like picture. Is that video?
Sure.
They all fit in one?
What did the floor look like downstairs? What was it?
It's equal to the actual field.
What did the floor look like? It looked like a football field, that's right. It's a 50-yard football field, and you're absolutely correct. Every one of the line markers down there, every one of the hash marks, is an exact extension of the same hash mark on the north end of Lambeau Field. You can't go on that field out there, so we kind of brought it in here to give you an idea of how it's set up. So I'm standing right here on the 50-yard line. If I were to follow that through the wall, I'd be on the 50-yard line at Lambeau Field. Now, young man, you answered that question. Answer another one for me. You're in a building, and you want to go out of that building, and you look for an exit sign, right? What color are they? What color are the exit signs in buildings? Really? Welcome to Green Bay.
In California,
Sir? Now, Stephen is going to go down and open up the suite for us, but while he's doing that, we're just going to kind of wander this way. Take a quick glance out the window here, if you will. You're just not going to see anything but a floor. And if you look straight out the window, you'll get a view of Green Bay skyline.
the water tower.
You are not going to mistake us for LA or San Francisco or Chicago or Detroit, that's for sure.
You said the highest point is here on the stadium, right?
Upon which one may stand, man-made.
Man, that's what I'm talking about. I'm not talking about smokestack.
No, we're not talking smokestacks. The reason I had you glance down there at that level is, well, I mentioned earlier the fact that the Packers have been able to create revenue with all of the things that we've done, so that without a major owner or small group of billionaire owners, we can stay competitive, and that helps us do that. Between that level there and the downstairs atrium, the Packers put on 600 to 800 non-football events a year. You know, in fact, if you want, you can just about lease or rent any spot in the stadium except the locker room in the field. And that helps us, again, to bring in that revenue to stay competitive. Now, what do we do here? Well, as of May, we had 62 weddings scheduled down there for the north balcony, 77 wedding receptions. We've had high school proms down there, business seminars, bar mitzvahs, birthday parties, divorce parties. You know, name it, we try to put a thing on it. That's basically what does that. Along with some of the 188 private suites that have been built here through the various renovations. So let's head on down to one of them right now.
Let him go first.
Now we get everybody in the seats, we can bring this gentleman right up here, but let's get everybody down here seated, if you will.
Take some picture.
If you look up here on the first game of the season, you would have seen some of our alumni up there. That's what this is used for special guests, things of that sort. But the other 186 suites in the stadium are leased out, usually anywhere from 1 to 7 years. Most of them were put in part of that renovation, which was the 8th one at Lambeau Field since it was originally built back in 1957. From the end of this room all the way through the horseshoe to that sign over there, above the yellow fence line, that was the renovation. It increased the capacity of Lambeau Field at the time to just over 73,000, which was number 10 in the NFL. But we weren't done. The 9th renovation, just completed last summer, had 3 parts to it. The boxes on the top there, that's the new sound system. That went up 3 years ago. 2 years ago, the new scoreboards went up, and last year, these seats were put in. 7,000 more seats in Lambeau Field, increasing the capacity of Lambeau Field to 80,750 in a city of 104,057 people. You want to go bowling down Main Street on Sunday afternoon, go right ahead. You're not going to hit anybody.
Don't want to interrupt touchdown.
4.
Us.
No. Now, if the defense will show up for the rest of the game. 21-17, I think.
17?
Yeah, it's back and forth. Yeah, we'll just stay here and watch TV. How's that? 3,000 outdoor club seats. That's those green seats that you see behind the yellow fence line. Behind the glass in the end zone, 3,000 indoor club seats. Right behind the fence line going around the stadium, 6,000 bleacher seats. And then directly behind that fence line, room for 765 folks who are confined to wheelchairs and their attendants. With this last renovation, we added almost another 200, so we have over 900 of those spaces available. We think that's #1 in the country, if not in the world, for a stadium like this. But the 80,750 is #2 in the NFL. Again, in a city of 104,000 people.
And it's sell out every one.
It's been sold out since 1960. Yeah.
You said, I know.
There are 500 tickets that are made available to the opposing team's fans for every game, but aside from that, every ticket here is a season ticket. Pardon? Yes. If you want to go to a game in Lambeau Field, that's not a problem. Question is, what do you want to pay for the ticket? Because you're probably buying it from somebody who has a season ticket or from a broker who's already bought it from somebody who has a season ticket. If you wanted to get season tickets to Lambeau Field, that might be a little bit more of a problem.
Waiting list.
Because you have to go on a waiting list, that's right. Anybody here on the waiting list? Your cousin is? You're on a waiting list for season tickets? Is that right? What's your number?
He's gonna get season tickets.
5.
You got a good
Almost
shot.
there.
You got a real good shot at it.
75 when he gets.
The best waiting list to get on might be the one for club seats, because that's only about 8,100 people right now. And that means in about 5 to 7 years, you probably get an offer for tickets. Now, most people, of course, want to sit out there in the bowl. Incidentally, those are the very finest aluminum bleacher seats in the National Football League. You have a seat out there, you have 18 inches of pure aluminum pleasure. And as you suggested, they are heated. They are solar heated. And you can tell right now, they're solar
Just sit
heated.
down.
What are the white vehicles?
The white vehicles, well, we're doing an experiment. We're trying to get in contact with some extraterrestrials.
Good question, all right.
No, actually, those are grow lights, and they've just been put together. They were out there mowing the grass earlier today. We put the grow lights on there in the fall. When the sun starts to get behind there, the grass doesn't get as much sunlight, so we fool the grass into thinking the sun's still shining. We have been cutting the grass here in December. 2 years ago, we had a playoff game against Minnesota. The game was in January. 2 days after 2 days after Christmas, we were cutting the grass. I was shoveling my snow, but they were cutting the grass. Well, we've got a game Thursday, so they're starting to put them together, and they'll take them out of here because of the game coming up. But that's what those are for. Any other questions?
What does a box cost?
What does a box cost? Okay. This one, again, is used by the package marketing department. The one next to you here is one of our small ones. There are 132 of those, 400 square feet. They come with 16 tickets for all 10 games, and they're yours for a year, not just the season. They're yours 365 days. So if you want, you can have a business meeting in your suite, or entertain clients, or have a birthday party, or watch reruns of Desperate Housewives. That's $84,500 right there. Okay? The big ones across the way between the names of Forrest Gregg and Clark Hinkle are twice the size of that. And they have private wait staff, they have a kitchen, they have private elevator, they have security. And the second most important thing at Lambeau Field on game day.
Bathroom.
That's right, they have their own bathrooms. You've been here before. You've gone through this tour before.
Mm-mm.
Oh, okay. You've been in
You
those
use the
suites
bathroom.
before.
Different stadium that have the same.
Oh, okay, all right. But they are yours for a whole year. Most of the NFL stadia do not do that. Most of them will lease you a suite for the season. And some of them don't even include tickets with that rental. So it's a little different here. Packers are in the top half of the National Football League in income, but we're in the lower half of the NFL in ticket prices. So, we had a kind of balancing act going on here.
Now it's all owned by people.
Pardon?
The Packers are owned by.
The Packers are owned by 364,000 stockholders. Yeah, there is no billionaire owner here. Anybody here have stock in the Packers?
My friend.
Well, Stephen and I do. So you folks are on tour of Lambeau Field with the owners. Wouldn't happen in Dallas.
You're all one seat.
How much
How
are
old is
those?
Bart Starr now? He's gotta be in 70, 75, 70?
Bart Starr is 80 years old.
He's 80 years old?
Yeah, just turned 80 this summer.
Oh, wow.
Those across the way go for 160,000. Yeah.
And what is the face value of just the ticket?
End zone ticket, $77. The corners, 88, and between the 20s, 100. Whether you're in row 1 or row 60. Now these seats up here, the far ones up there are 80. Is that 82? 84, and the ones down below are 92. And then the premium seats we'll get to when we get over there. Again, that's about 18th in the league. Any other questions?
The coach, how long is the coach they have now? What's his name and how long has he been the coach? I'm not familiar.
Coach McCarthy has been here, is it 9 years now?
He was the one that went to the Super Bowl,
Right, 2010 Super Bowl.
Okay.
Has it been that long? Or longer?
I think it's 9 years.
8 or 10 is what.
8 or 10
Well,
years
after
is
that,
what we're
probably.
thinking. Yeah, he's been here a while. Well, he had Favre here, and now he's got Aaron Rodgers, and he had Favre, I think, for 2 or 3 years, maybe 4 years, so.
I would say that how they knew that this guy was so good as Aaron Rodgers. You know, that they
Well,
could-
that was part of the deal. He had all kinds of good things coming out of college, and it dropped down in the draft, and we were able to get him. And he had been sitting on the bench for 3 years, and we didn't know how good he was, so we had to find out because he was at the end of his contract. And that was part of the thing that went on with Brett and the organization, was because we didn't really know what. Steven, stop that.
Is this where Brett's gonna sit when he comes back?
Pardon?
Is this where Brett's gonna sit when he comes back?
I haven't the faintest idea where he's going to be. You know, in terms of the information, I'm about right here. Okay, shall we take that little walk over here?
Sure.
Let's go. There's 6,000 up there, 4,000 are out there. You live in Brown County, you don't have a season ticket, you're over the age of 18, you put your name in the computer, the name gets drawn, you get a chance to buy 4 tickets for a game.
It's guaranteed, right? Either preseason.
Preseason or if your name is picked. Yeah. My name is picked every year. You know, some years I decided not to, but other years I come out with. So that way, 40,000 people can see a game. Okay, we're going to head outside. Stephen and I can help you with some photos if you want. Just a couple of things. Off to the right, you'll see a bridge. That's the Frigo Bridge. That goes over the mouth of the Fox River, one of the few rivers in the U.S. actually that goes south to north, and it empties into the Bay of Green Bay right behind it there. To the left, you'll see Highway 41, traffic moving north and south. The significance about that is the land between here and the highway has been bought up for the Packers for future expansion, probably to the formation of some kind of an entertainment center. We don't know what it's going to be yet. We keep hearing all kinds of different stories. Now, there is a railing out there. Please do not lean over the railing, especially with your camera, if it's not attached to you. Because if you drop it, it'll go down in one piece, but it won't come back in one piece. And there is a little shelf there. Don't stand up on the shelf either, please. And Steve and I can help you with photos. We'll spend a couple of minutes out here and then head on down. I've been here since I was 13, so I guess, yeah, I'm a native.
What do you think?
Yeah, yeah. Anybody want pictures, want help with photos? Can help you with that? Otherwise, go ahead and snap away.
Sure. Let's do it, guys.
Now, if you look back on the 95-year history of the Green Bay Packers, you'll find a number of gentlemen who are extremely important, but none more so than the three that we usually discuss on these tours. One of them I've already talked a little bit about, Robert E. Harlan, former CEO and president, who basically came up with the plan to create that 8th renovation, which put us on the kind of sound financial basis we are. The other two that we talk about, though, are our Hall of Fame coaches. Earl Lewis, Curly Lambeau, co-founder of the Green Bay Packers, first coach of the Green Bay Packers. Graduate of Green Bay East High School, went to the University of Notre Dame because they allowed freshmen to play varsity football there. He not only made the team as a freshman in 1918, but he was the starting fullback for a first-year coach, whose name some of you might recognize, Knute Rockne. Came home at Christmas break, though, and got a bad case of tonsillitis. Now, that young man there gets a sore throat today. You walk on down to CVS or Walgreens, pick up the amoxicillin, and take care of it. 1918 doesn't happen. Curly's on bed rest for 8 weeks. Almost died. He missed a good part of semester 2, made a conscious decision not to return to college at all. So he gets a job at the Indian Packing Company, and in the summer of 1919 is wandering the streets wondering about when he's going to be able to play football again. He graduated high school, he's not in college, there's no professional football. He has a chance meeting with a guy named George Calhoun, sports editor for the Green Bay Press-Gazette, talking football, and they decide that they're going to see if they can get something started in Green Bay. Manitowoc had a team, Sheboygan had a team, why not Green Bay? So George put an ad in the paper. Basically it says, anybody interested in playing football, come on down to the Press-Gazette headquarters on August 11th of 1919. We're going to have a meeting. Well, Curly walked into the meeting room, there are 24 other guys there. That's the birth date of the Green Bay Packers. They all made the team that year. Now they played Manitowoc and they played Sheboygan for 2 years as a semi-pro team. But in 1921, Curly gets a chance to join the American Professional Football Association. Now in 1919, the folks he worked for gave him some money to buy uniforms and a practice field. So in 1921, he goes back to the people he's working for, the Acme Packing people in 1921, and says, I need a franchise fee, can you help me out? And they said, sure. But put our names on the jerseys. So in 1921, the Green Bay Packers are in the American Professional Football Association as the Acme Packers. League folds at the end of that year, though. Was not very well run. But a bunch of the folks who are in the league get together down in Canton, Ohio in 1922 to start a new league called the National Football League. Curly gets a chance to go down there, pay a $250 franchise fee to get into the league. The folks at Acme told him they would not help him this time though, so he had to do it himself. The reason they wouldn't help him was because there's no return. In the early 1920s, the Packers had no stadium. They're playing on parks on the other side of town. They're passing the hat to get money. There's nothing there, and they told him that. But Curly didn't care. He's 24 years old. He's got a chance to own a football team, to play for that football team, to coach that football team, so he took it. Well, in 1923, he found out what the folks at Acme were talking about, because he can't pay the bills anymore. So it looks like Green Bay's 1 year and out, like a whole bunch of other teams in the 1920s. In fact, there were 52 other teams that came and went in the 1920s. Of the original 18, only 3 still play football today. Now, the reason the Green Bay Packers are still in the league because Curly got together with some businessmen in Green Bay who came up with a great idea for him. He said, Curly, you can't pay the bills yourself. Let's help you take care of that. We'll sell some stock. We'll sell 1,000 shares of stock at $5 a share and we'll save this team. They did that. But when they did that, we become a not-for-profit, publicly owned franchise. The only one in the NFL, the only one in pro sports in the United States, in fact, in major pro sports. Curly gave up his ownership. 1949 is when he leaves here. He's won 6 championships in that period of time, but he leaves because the latter part of the 40s, he's having trouble on the field. Packers are also having trouble off of the field. And he says, you know what? You let me buy this team back, it'll save all your problems. And our board of directors said, no, we can't do that, Curly, because we have an idea here that you're going to move this team out west, and we don't want that to happen. So he leaves town in 1949 now. His last year or so here were not very good years. In most of the 1950s, we don't talk about, because we were the Siberia of the NFL. We didn't have a winning season for 11 years. And in 1958, the Packers won 1 game, lost 10, tied 1. We didn't fire the coaching staff, by the way. They'll quit before we fire them. So we're looking for a new coach. We can't get anybody to come in here and interview with us. We offer jobs to a number of people. They said, no, don't want it. So George Ellis, of all people, and Paul Brown of the old Cleveland Browns, though, came up with an idea. They said, talk to this guy out in New York. Never been a head coach except in high school. Wants to be a pro head coach. We think he's pretty good. He's the offensive coach for the New York Football Giants right now. Why don't you give him a call? So he did. Asked him to come out. He said, sure, I'll come out. You've got a good team out there. They just lack discipline. Gets off the airplane at Austin Straubel Field on February 1st of 1959. Says, I've never been associated with a loser in my life. I don't intend to start in Green Bay. Most of us said, you want to bet? We won 1 game last year, coach. Give us a break. Says, you've got a good team there. They just lack discipline that I will bring to them. Well, didn't take Vince Lombardi the 5 years that his contract said it would. Took him 1. That same team that was 1-10-1 in 1958 went 7-5 in 1959. First winning season in a decade here, and he's coach of the year. His second year as head coach of the Green Bay Packers, as a head coach of any pro team, he's coach of the year again, and he's in the championship game in Philadelphia. Now, the end of that game, it says Eagles 17, Packers 13. The Packers are on the 9-yard line as time runs out. Chuck Bednarik would not get up off of Jimmy Taylor. And in those days, the refs didn't stop the clock. In the locker room afterwards, Lombardi thanked them for their effort, told them that they didn't really lose the game, they simply ran out of time. And that then he made them a promise. As long as he was going to be the head coach of the Green Bay Packers, they would never lose another playoff game. Well, the next 7 years, the Packers were in 9 playoff games. The record, 9-0. 5 more championships in that 7-year period. After the 67 season, he's a little tired out. He stays here 1 year as GM and then goes to Washington because he can get something in Washington he could not get in Green Bay, and that was partial ownership of the team. And he took a team that hadn't had a winning season in 14 years and turned them around in 1 year. And before he could coach a second year, he died of colon cancer at the age of 57. He died on September 3rd, 1970. On September 10th of 1970, the NFL told everybody that they were going to change the name on that Super Bowl trophy. The one that we loaned to Seattle this year was called Vince Lombardi Trophy. Lucky to have the man. This is the Champions Club. They're trying to create a club atmosphere up here. When they did this south end zone, they asked folks what they wanted. Some people said we want places inside. Some folks said we'd like a place to congregate, but we'd like to watch the game from outside. Others basically said, hey, we'd like to have a place that has some pretty good food too. Well, 160 tickets up here. You can buy up to 4. You have to make at least a 2-year commitment. Food and beverage is included in the cost. The reason we want you to have no more than 4 tickets is we do not want a corporate or a corporation to come up here and take this over and make it their own club, if you will. We want this to be a spot where various people can get together to watch the game. Tickets are $325 a piece. If you're here for a noon game, you'll have breakfast, and it's not scrambled eggs, and you'll have lunch. And there might be a bratwurst in there, but that's the low end of it. Now we're going to give you a few minutes to wander around here a little bit, check out the signs. The first case down there has the Super Bowl 45 Lombardi Trophy in it, and there are some other neat things down in that area. This will be your last chance to use a restroom on the rest of the tour, so if you want, the ladies' room is beyond the elevators. The men's room is back there where we came in. So take about a few minutes to just wander around.
Either walking, bicycle, or the ride. I did both rides. Get out between bicycle. And it was pretty. Beautiful day. I mean, I think, oh my Lord. In about 2 weeks, probably will start. No. This is the first time I've like this here all year round. Sure. We have friends that come in. People because that's a beautiful city.
Yeah, we got it all set up, right? Yeah.
Here we have another corporate area, or another cleaning area. Actually, this is the corporate level. This is run basically by the festival food folks. Corporations will come in here with clients. The packers and festival food get together to determine who gets the tickets for these. You get about 272 people in here. You can come in here, you can watch the game from in here, or we can go outside. Now, we're going to head out here and stand behind this shelf right here and talk a little bit about what's out there in the stadium that you see.
How's yours? Did you have to brighten it?
Did.
The automatic?
I was just going to go piece of this one.
What's that?
We're just talking about the down there, the Jaguars. I don't think they have tours like this.
Oh.
They're not as popular.
We have tours every day of the year except when there's a game or Christmas and Easter.
Oh, I see.
The day before a game, we put about 1,700 people through here on tour. We'll have them every 15 minutes from 8 or 9 in the morning till 8 at night. And we have this going on all year round too. You're looking out at a grass field, obviously. You can see that. It's being watered now. It was mowed a little earlier today. That was put down in 2007 when we redid this whole field. We went down to the original 1957 level, tore out everything in there, and replaced a whole bunch of it. So underneath there used to be a lot of clay. Now there's just a little bit of clay, and there's some gravel, peat moss mix down there. Across the top of that, 43 miles of heating tubes. We put a hot water and antifreeze mix through. We heat the field up to about 40 degrees in the coldest of weather. Now I kidded earlier about the solar heating out there, but in reality where you're standing right now, we have the same type of system under your feet as we have under that field. Why? Snow removal up here would be extremely difficult. You know, we can call in shovelers and they'll do that in about 4 or 5 hours, but up here it would be very difficult to do that. So we have this heating system which melts the snow and the ice. It's not going to keep your feet warm, but it's going to melt that stuff. And then what we'll do is we'll take the Viking fans and we'll put them right underneath here. Now we have drains in here.
Do they, I'm sorry, I heard you use volunteers to sometimes.
Well, people come out here to shovel the snow, yes, but we pay them $10 an hour.
Oh, okay. What they show on the news is like they're all volunteers.
Well, we basically call the radio and TV folks and say we need some folks out here to shovel the snow away. We'll expect 300 or 400 people. We'll have 600 or 700 of them out here, and they'll all get a shovel. They'll do one row, and they'll put it on a chute. Chute will carry it to the floor of the stadium. Front end loaders will put it into dump trucks, and dump trucks will take them out. $10 an hour cash. We used to pay by check, but at the end of the year, the accounting department couldn't keep the books straight because people were taking their checks and hanging them up on the wall. Now it's all okay. After the heating system was put in, we put in about a foot of a special kind of sand, and then we put 100% Kentucky bluegrass sod. And then we put in 23 million pieces of plastic. An outfit from the Netherlands. Stephen's got a piece of it right there. It stitched it into the field. It makes up about 3% of the field. And what it does is it goes down into the lower area of the field, makes a loop, comes back up, and tightens the field. 70 games on this field since we put it in. We have yet to replace a piece of sod. Every spring they'll come out and thatch the dead grass off, and they'll basically just reseed it. And during the season they will overseed it. And of course with the grow light, hopefully growing grass into October, November, December.
Yeah.
With the drought you got.
That's good.
You see 5 names down there. Those are the 5 retired numbers. The 6th one will be added sometime this next year. He'll be up here on July 18th to be inducted into the Packers Hall of Fame, and that's when we'll start the process of retiring his number.
It's
Of
blended.
course, that number is
That
full.
makes the grass tight.
On the
That's
side,
why it
you'll
looks
see
neat.
22 names. Those
See
are
the
the
rows?
Packers in the NFL Hall of Fame. That is second to the team we're playing today, the Bears. But we always remind them that it's a team sport, and we have 13 championships, and they only have 9. Now, we didn't do it upstairs, but we need to do it here. We have to do an audio test of the stadium every once in a while just to make sure it's up to our standards. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to count to 3, and I'm going to ask you all to yell as loud as you can, outside voices toward that end zone, the Packers cheer. Tough cheer. It's Go Pack Go. If you don't happen to be a Packer fan and you wish to protest, we're okay with that. Just yell it in reverse order. But yell it and stop and listen. See if we can get an echo, all right? On 3 now. 1, 2, 3.
Go Pack Go!
Oh, the echo is good.
There you go.
Shall we try that again? 1, 2, 3.
Go Pack Go!
Wow,
Not
the
bad.
echo is working.
There we go.
It's
Thanks,
working.
guys.
We just scored again, by the way.
Good for us.
We were cheering for score. Yeah, I was for 2 miles on it.
1925, opening day, 5,000 people, Bears Packers, 2 refs. You didn't have telephoto lenses in 1925, so if you wanted a picture for the sports pages, you went out on the field to get it. Same place about 15 years later, but if you'll notice, you got a high school right up here against it. And on this side and on the other side at the end, there's a river. So there really wasn't anything you could do about building a bigger stadium there. 1956, the NFL said you've got 3 choices, Green Bay. You can either renovate this place, well, you can't do that. You can move to Milwaukee, nothing for that. Then build something new. And that's when the city actually annexed the 53 acres of land out here to build this stadium. The city owns both of these stadiums. The Packers only lease this from the city of Green Bay, but the Packers take care of the upkeep, they take care of the renovating and the addition. But you'll notice there are no lights, and both teams' locker rooms are in the south end at that time. This is not a paved parking lot. And this is the Van Ovenhoven Farm Silo, where the city annexed the 53 acres. 32,150. 60 rows here, 20 rows here. This is outside ground level. 1965, June 1 of that year, Curly dies of a heart attack. His family then gives permission a little later to rename it. That's when it becomes Lambeau Field. 32, 51,000. Now the Packers are on the north end. Here's a ramp and a tunnel that they come out of to go to the field. That was closed off in 2003. And here's where the opposing team's locker room still is. 93, our first set of sky boxes and club seats. Those were torn down during this renovation and replaced with those bleacher seats and those club seats. And then these were built right behind it and plopped into place. Have a locker room that's considered active, meaning it's used all year round. So the Packers are in Chicago today, but there might be some players in here rehabbing or some coaches looking at film and things. It's used all year round. It's shaped like a football. There are no corners in it. So all the players are looking at everybody else. But there are also 9 classrooms down there, and 2 auditoriums, a basketball court, a racquetball court, hot and cold tubs, swim-ex equipment, x-ray machine, cafeteria, state-of-the-art weight rooms, a walk-through room that they can go through a play or 2 with. Everything you'd ever want in your cave is down there. There's even a room for 1,500 pairs of shoes. But on game day, the Packers will come down through here. Come on. Get together to go out to play. Now, the only time you go through this tunnel is to play a game. Practice is across the street at the Hudson Center. The only people who might be here on time other than a game might be the kickers. But other than that, that's the only time you go through it. That's the one I meant.
For the, oh.
For the chair. You could go that way. Okay? Now it's game day. Thursday night. Minnesota Vikings are sitting out there waiting to get beat up on. You're all gathered here to get ready to go through this tunnel. We just made you members of the Packers. For the next 30 seconds. We get to the end of the tunnel, we have to cut you. That way we don't have to pay. Okay? So, use your imaginations and you just might get an idea of what it's like to come through here as a football player. You ready to do this?
Ready.
Are you ready?
Ready.
Okay, let's go then. championships. But what is probably more important are the 3 slabs of concrete here outlined in red brick. That used to be in the North Tunnel. That tunnel was built in 1963. Coach Sherman had it all brought here so that his players and the future ones could get in touch with that history and that tradition. So as you walk over this, remember who came before you. Vince Lombardi, Paul Hornung, Bart Starr, Brett Favre, Reggie White, Aaron Rodgers, Clay Matthews. Players will tap their feet on it, touch the flag, go play football. We're going to go to the right. Please do not run out on the field. Do not pick the grass. Do not kiss the grass. Do not even look at the grass cross-eyed. Who knows what the Lambeau loop is? Don't even think about it.
You have to go touch the flag.
Don't touch the grass.
That's where the TV commentators will be situated. The shelf right above them between Willie Wood and Jim Ringo's names is where the 50-yard line camera would be. To the left of the shelf on the top, all the way down to the last 6 windows, is the Lee Remmel press box. To the right of that, you see those little cards up there. That's where they'll have offensive coaches, defensive coaches from both teams. The instant replay official is up there, and there are some private boxes also up there. Any questions? Who wants a picture?
We all do.
Nobody wants it.
Everybody.
Nobody wants a picture?
Yeah, of
All
course.
right, yeah, of me, yeah. As long as it doesn't show up down at the post office. Okay, let's get you right over. 1, 2, 3. Go!
Go, Pack, go!
Very different, isn't it?
Yeah.
Okay.
This is
Let's head on up the steps.
Did the opposing team come through that tunnel as
No,
well?
the opposing team comes out. The opposing team.
And everybody's interested too.
Dad, Mom, turn her up.
Turn around. Cheese.
You got us?
Yeah.
Yeah, burn yourself.
How much it is?
Huh? I don't know. $50? Who knows? It's pretty close though.
So that's when we moved everything back up here.
So, Packers playing down in Milwaukee for how long?
Yeah,
60 years.
in there.
They did?
They had some games in Milwaukee for 60 years.
Some games.
Simon.
Not always. They had
Simon.
Here. It's my first time in an NFL stadium.
At Notre Dame, he played quarterback on halfback. Here, his first year, they tried him quarterback and Lamar said to my halfback. And that was it.
Oh, so that's why it's meat packing.
Okay, Stephen should be coming along pretty soon with the other folks, but on behalf of myself and Stephen and the Packers, thank you. We hope you enjoyed it. We appreciate you spending time with us. Be careful if you're traveling, be safe out there. But when you go to bed tonight, young man, you want to have pleasant dreams, right? Sure you do. You want to have good dreams all the time. No? In order to do that, before you go to sleep every night, you just say those 3 little words, and your dreams will always be pleasant. And you know what those 3 are, right? Go, back, go. Thank you. Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you, Bob.
Good job.
If you ever come to Green Bay, definitely check out the stadium.